Esteemed audience, for good ideas and true innovation,
you need human interaction, argument, conflict, and debate.
This is Kenya's #1 interactive debate platform. This is the Great Debaters Contest. I am your host, Chris Buru.
And I am Esperanza Kapanga. The motion on the table today is, poverty is the most important security threat facing Africa.
Proposing this motion, we have Nkuene Girls High School.
And opposing the motion, we have Irinda Secondary School.
Proposal number 1, you have 3 minutes to make a statement.
Don't waste your time asking why isn't the world a better place. It will be time wasted. The question to ask is, how can I make it better? To that, there is an answer. I'm Leon Jockey from Nkuene Girls High School, here to propose the motion poverty is the most important security issue facing Africa. But first, what is poverty? This is the state of being poor or lacking something that is essential. What is this security? This is an activity involved in protecting a country, building, or even an individual. Security is also the state of feeling happy and safe from danger and worry. I have a question. Let us reason together. If we were all able to sustain ourselves financially, will there be a reason for insecurity? Will there be a reason for I to feel jealous of you? No, I don't think so. But let us narrow down to our motion today. Poverty and security are twin problems here in Africa. They are inseparable. Actually, poverty in Africa is more pronounced, leading to this insecurity that we all talk about. And according to Reinski's research, 60.9% of Africans in 2010 were living in absolute poverty. This rate increased to 61.9% in 2011 and 61% in 2012. As long as poverty increases, the insecurity in this Africa is going to increase. Poverty is an endemic conflict in conflict zones. Let us take, for example, Niger Delta in Nigeria. We know that it is the best producer of oil in Africa, right? And still it is ranked as the second poorest country in Africa. Did you know that? I don't think so. I hope that you have now known it. But due to the marginal difference between the poor and the rich in this Niger Delta, there have been conflicts, not only conflicts between the rich and the poor, but also in companies. Consider the multinational oil companies in Nigeria. They have had conflicts involving the militant youths, making many of them fight each and every day, leading to insecurity. Another thing is neglecting this poverty. Because if I am living in poverty, and you come here and start developing your own needs, I can't accept that. This poverty leads to impediment of business investments and economic growth. Let us take, for example, our city slums in Kibera. We all know it, right? I live in Kibera and you come and develop your railway station just along the slums. Is it going to benefit me really? No, I don't think so. It is going only for the casualties. Thank you.
First opposer, you have 3 minutes to present your case.
A problem shared is I have solved. Bosco Mwirigi, Irinda Secondary School, strongly opposing the motion. Poverty is the most important security issue facing Africa. Poverty is a state where people are unable to attain their basic needs. For example, we have food, clothing, and shelter. While security is an act of protecting an individual, a person, or a building against social, economic, or political attack. According to weblet.com, the causes of insecurity in Africa are, first, poor governance. The most important driver of violence and conflict among people in Africa today is weak and unconsolidated governance. Bad governance and corruption don't just undermine development, but also drives violence to people. For example, in Nigeria, most political leaders are much concerned of the monetary value that they are going to get from their post and have less or no interest in developing the community. This brings financial insecurity, as money meant to better the lives of the people does not reach them well. Also, just ask yourself, what happens if someone meant to better your living turns to be the failure of your living? Secondly, there is unequal distribution of resources. Africa is blessed with abundant natural resources and land, but often they have been exploited irresponsibly. This has damaged our environment, widened wealth inequality, and also fueled resentment and conflicts among people. Also, problems with water distribution and population growth are pressuring this Africa on the need to modernize the agriculture or the subsistence agriculture. Now, will Africa manage its water, mineral, and agriculture resources sustainably so as to avoid resource conflict in future? To my third point, it's technology as a game changer. Now, technological changes are raising the security stakes in Africa, and however, enabling the self-organization of individual groups for negative, that is terrorism or extremism, and also positive, that is social change or transparency. This potential for technology to do good in Africa is staggering, as this technology, instruments such as internet, have been used as a recruitment tool for people in extremism groups. Now, food for thought. Is the internet a friend or a foe to you? Thank you.
Second proposer, you have 3 minutes for cross-examination.
Truth cannot disappear with a touch like a bubble. No. Neither can you kick it all day long and expect it to leave you. You'll still have it in the evening. And that is why, to truth, I am a defendant. Kaberia Valentine is my name, from Nkuene Girls, proposing the motion that states that security is the most important, poverty is the most important security issue facing Africa. Oh, I appreciate the fact that these opposers are honestly supporting us. I heard him say about poor governance, or did I hear him say that one wrong? Isn't poor governance poverty, or is it richness? In that case, I want to tell you one thing. Africa, poverty is what is affecting us. And one thing the opposers are not doing. You are basing your arguments on one meaning of poverty. Why are you leaving alone the other meaning of poverty, which is the other meaning of security, which is feeling secure, safe, when you have no worries and other factors? So when you tell me that security is not the main, that poverty is not the most important security issue, don't you think you're joking? Or maybe you're lying? And if you're joking, that is a serious joke for this matter. Let me tell you one thing. One very good example, the SDGs. SDG number 1 is eradicating poverty in all forms by 2030. So if we are putting eradicating poverty as one of the SDGs, can't you see the weight of poverty, people? Don't you see how poverty is an important issue in our country and in our continent at large? Let me give you an example of what poverty can really give us. Poverty leads to immorality. Those people who are rich, they take advantage of the poor people out there. Or maybe I can't sustain my life. That is why I'll become a prostitute. I can't sustain my life. That is why I'll look for a sponsor, a sponsee, a sugar daddy, sugar mommy. Do you think I live that extravagant life and that is why I'm looking for a sponsor? Of course not. Let me give you this good example. These people who are looking for those people to sustain their lives are the poor. And that is why I'm saying, I am not safe. I have worries. Isn't that insecurity? And that is why I'm looking for somebody to help sustain my financial health. Let me give you another example. Those malicious groups, the Boko Haram, Al-Shabaab, and all sorts of groups. They don't go and look for that doctor living a luxurious life to join them. No, of course. They look for that poor boy who has no work, who has nothing to do. And those boys cause a lot of trouble. And even the girls, of course. And that is why I am saying that truth cannot be defeated easily. But for me, maybe you can. So, poverty is the most important security issue facing Africa. Why don't you just reason like me or with me? Thank you.
Second opposer, you have 3 minutes for cross-examination.
Once a time, Jesus said, in the book of John, chapter number 8, verse 32, he said that, then you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Brothers and sisters, today I'm here, Umondi Victor, Irinda Day Secondary School, to tell you the truth. The truth is, poverty is not the only cause of insecurity in Africa. But before I tell you the truth, I have my opponent saying that how many people, there are some people who are sustainable, but they are insecure. But I want to tell you that there are so many people who they can sustain themselves, but at the same time, their lives are in danger. How many great people, prominent people in Africa who have died having a lot of money, they are very rich, but their lives has been swayed away just because they were insecure, together with all the wealth that they had. I've already said that there are some conflicts in companies. It is not only poverty that causes conflicts in companies. In companies, we have leadership, something that we call leadership wrangles. This is also causing conflict, that is even causing insecurity to some individual lives. So it is not only poverty that causes conflicts in the companies. You have talked about 2013 vision, that is of Kenya. It is not only to eradicate poverty, it is also to better the level of education of our nation, to increase something like infrastructure. So it is not only poverty that the Kenya Vision 2030 is aspiring to eradicate. So many things that we are looking at 2030. Maybe to say something concerning poverty. Let me tell you, it is not only poverty. There are these other factors that are causing insecurity. Look at something like ignorance. A very serious cause of insecurity, where people lack knowledge. They lack information about security itself. Can you convince me and tell me that someone who is lacking knowledge, lacking information about security, can he or she be able to maintain, to improve the level of security if he or she is not aware of what we call security? Ignorance is another cause of insecurity, not poverty alone. Look at something else like a disease. Nowadays, we're talking about diseases like cancer, the HIV and AIDS. You cannot convince me and tell me that someone who has been affected by HIV and AIDS, by cancer, can be employed as a Kenya Army, a Kenya Navy, or a Kenya Air Force. Cannot, because it will not be strong enough to defend the nation. Cannot. You cannot convince them of that. Look at something like unemployment. Tell me where those people who are jobless in the society, where do they go to? They automatically turn out to be terrorists, to attack the rest, for them to gain money to cater for their lives. Thank you.
The proposers have been asked, if poverty is the biggest problem that is leading to security issues, then what solution are they putting on the table for us? The opposers, on the other hand, have been asked, don't they think that diseases are actually a form of poverty because somebody has poor health? Proposer number 3, you have 3 minutes to answer the question.
The government should train 5,000 cottage industries and to ensure the youth in Kenya do not indulge in poverty. They should also build 290 vocational training centers in all constituencies, and they should ensure there is provision of industries in rural areas and the machinery development in the industries where there is where there is need for skills which the youth in Kenya have. Also, while supporting my motion, I should also support it with this point: food insecurity. We find that poverty leads to food insecurity, where the people lack basic needs, there's lack of fertilizers, and there's poor land for cultivation, and where you find that 14.5 million people in the country suffer from chronic food insecurity and also poor nutrition. We also find that in the country, there's narcotics trafficking, where I find that in half of the countries in Africa, they indulge in narcotics trafficking, which is more vulnerable to most of the countries in Africa because they are poor. We find that it is also a transnational syndicate, which poses a threat to our country as a whole. We also find that the youths are insecure because due to poverty and lack of insight in the country, that leads to distraction. So I would like to ask my opposers, just join us as the proposers and propose to this motion that poverty is the most important security issue facing Africa. And what about food insecurity? I would also like to mention something about it, where you find that due to the increase in population in the country, there is stunted growth in food production, and where you find that in the 2009 census, 38.6 million people were there, but in the 1999 census, we find that there were 28.7 million people, where you find that there is a population increase of that 5%, whereas there is a food decrease in the country. We also find that 30% of the children are stunted, 13% of the children are wasted, and 7% of the children are underweight in the country. So we also find that 20% of the population do not attain the minimum dietary requirements of the nutrition agencies. So is it poverty? Is it other factors that cause insecurity in the country? But we ask you, is it other factors, but is it poverty? So support us and let us join us to saying it is poverty. Thank you.
The opposer, you have 3 minutes to respond to your question.
You cannot convince me that poverty is the one causes insecurity in Africa. First of all, let me start by answering the question which was asked. Disease and poverty, they have a very big gap. Even the judges here can bear me witness that we have rich people contracting these diseases like cancer and HIV and AIDS. Last time, I had a dream, and I wish to share it with you. As I was walking, I was attacked by a monster. This monster was very huge. It had protruding forehead and even teeth, hungry face. And the sordid thing about it had so many hands that when it wanted to swallow me, I screamed and my fellow villagers came to my rescue. Now they struggled with it. They even tried to knock it down, but it was hard. They even tried to cut the ends of this monster, but the hands still grew. And as it almost swallowed all of us, I woke up. Thank to God, it was only a dream. Kenyans, in reality, what we are talking about, Kenyans, in reality, corruption is the monster which I'm talking about, not poverty. Today, the way corruption, we are trying to cut the ends of corruption, it is at the same time, the hands are still growing. Today, it is the NYS scandal. Tomorrow, it is the Kenya pipeline or the mist scandal. The next day, it is the power scandal. Now, if you think corruption is facing Kenya only, you can go in South Africa and ask the former president, Jacob Zuma, who has a corruption case in court as we speak. Now, assuming the National Youth Service was done away with, where would the youth go? Some of them would join the terror groups. Others will engage themselves in adverse behaviors, which will lead to high level of crime, thus leading to insecurity in Kenya. According to the www.star.co.ke, in July 16, 2014, at 12 noon, the Star editor said that the MPs complained that police officers were demanding money from applicants in Monday's police recruitment exercise. This money is not chicken fed. It can be even up to 200,000 Kenya shillings. This is causing financial insecurity in Kenya, where Kenya remains far more insecure than countries like Uganda, Tanzania, and Rwanda. To my second point, Poverty is not cause for insecurity in Africa. It is lack of education or what we call high literacy level. According to the Bogan Project, in a country, Niger, which is ranked among the most illiterate nations in the world, only 15% adults have the ability to read and write. Now, in this country, if we don't have educated heads in this country, who is going to do the state planning? Who is going to control and access the natural resources? Who? And that's why I'm really sorry to my opponents, because I will never ever cross the floor to join you. Thank you.
Proposers, you have 1 minute for final submission.
Leon Joki from Nkuene Girls, here to conclude my proposal for the motion. In eradicating corruption, these people are poor in their mindsets. In eradicating ignorance and even these health diseases, these are poverty in their own forms. And considering the Big Four agenda here in Kenya and the sustainable development, where the decent housing and affordable housing, affordable health secure, affordable health care, food and nutrition security, employment for all through manufacturing, and also the sustainable development which are to achieve food security, decent work, clean water and sanitation. The goal for these developments are to end poverty in Kenya, not only in Kenya, but I guess also in Africa by 2030. So I'm trying to say that poverty in all forms, get it, poverty in all forms, be it health, be it education, be it corruption itself. Thank you.
Proposers, you have 1 minute for final submission.
Is poverty Africa's biggest security issue, or there is another threat which is bigger than poverty? I think if you mention all what you have mentioned as a form of poverty, I think you'll be wrong. Perhaps most obvious general explanation for conflict in Africa are ethno-religious ethnicities, and religion often adds more to this volatile mix, as there is nobody who is identifying a problem which, when solved, will solve all of Africans' problems. Identifying general cases of conflict is important in working out how to avoid these conflicts in Africa. The solution to the problem will be very different if poverty is greater cause of insecurity in Africa as compared to ethnicities and religion. Thank you.
Well, what I found in both teams, you have a very good teamwork, and I commend you on that. Leah, you have very good style and presentation. You also gave quite good statistics. I like the way you quoted numbers after numbers, compared years and years. That was quite good. Valentine, you're quite confident. I like that. However, in the rebuttal, I would maybe kindly ask you to rebuttal maybe in a better way, a mature way, rather than attacking your opponent. Maybe you watch on that. I'll also maybe like to correct you. I thought you wanted to say militia groups rather than malicious groups. Yeah, militia. So militia are the groups which are formed maybe in the local settings, which are terror groups. Esther, you're very, very, very good. You did your job. You answered the question quite well. And you also got good statistics and gave very good examples on food and nutrition as a way as a lead to poverty. That was good work.
Irinda, Bosco, you're a very good speaker. You started the group quite well. You gave the other, threats to the continent. Apart from just poverty, you cited an equal distribution of resources. You brought out the technological changes, the extremism. I think that was quite good. You did your work quite well. Victor Mondi, a very eloquent, very eloquent and confident speaker you are. You did your cross-examining quite well. There's always room for improvement for that. Derek, corruption, illiteracy. I think you did quite commendable work. Thank you very much, a very confident speaker. And to the two teams, all the best.
Nkuene Girls High School, the judges awarded you 69%. Let's appreciate them. Irinda Boys High School, the judges saw it fit to award you 70%, making you the winners of the debate. Congratulations to both schools, a job well done.
We'd like to appreciate all our stakeholders for making this possible, from the principals to the patrons in each and every school. We'd also like to appreciate our sponsors, Blaze by Safaricom, Brand Kenya Board, for making this show a reality.
We would also like to ask our audience, keep the conversation going across all our social media platforms. The hashtag is GDC for SDGs.
Remember, you can also be part of the Great Debaters Contest by implementing at least one sustainable development goal, not only in your schools, but also for your community, to make Kenya a better place. Until next time, I have been your host, Chris Boru.
And I am Esperanza Kapanga. Catch you next time.